Right guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again. So in this episode, I'm going to be changing the fuel pump in my Mark 1 MX5 track car. So I've had to do this job a few times now on Mark 1s, and the simple reason I believe is because of their age. When you think about it, these Mark 1s now, in the case of my one behind me and the track car, they're both 35 years old. So if you think about it, that fuel pump has been in there all that time, working hard, and eventually it's just going to die. Now I've gone down the route before of changing it with second-hand units. You know, you can pick them up for sort of 30 quid, but believe me, it just isn't worth the hassle because I've done it now probably 5 times. I've done it 2 on the yellow car that I restored a while ago. This is the second one that I've put in the track car, which was a second-hand one. Luckily my green car behind, the V-Spec, that hasn't gone yet, so that's still 35 years old. But that's a ticking time bomb. So what I did do is I bought a spare pump while I bought one for the track car, just to keep in the parts bin, just in case this goes. I've got one to hand because it will go at some point. So if you've never done it before, I'm going to just sort of show you how to do it. It's not the most difficult job to do, but it's not something you're sort of doing every day. So, you know, a little video to help you guys out, you know, you might appreciate it. Now, if you're going to buy a new fuel pump, if you're going to buy a Mazda one, genuine Mazda pump, you're going to pay an absolute fortune. So when I was doing my research looking for a pump online, if you're going to buy from one of the main retailers of the MX parts, you're going to pay nearly £500 for a pump. Okay, there are alternatives out there though, you know, so you will find a cheaper pump. The particular pump that I'm going to be using is made by Lemark, and there's the part number should you wish to order it up yourself. I know someone who works in a motor factors, luckily, and each of those pumps I managed to pick up for, I think it was about £18 per pump, which is, you know, when you think about it, if you're paying £500 for a pump or 18, but they're both brand new doing the same thing, you know, I'll give that a go, see how I get on with that. But it's brand new, so, you know, hopefully I'm not going to have any issues with it. So I've already got the pump out of the car. I'll show you that now while I've just got it here, just what it looks like. So when you remove the sender out of the car, this is what you're going to be left with. So you simply got 2 hoses attachments on the top, your electrical plug, you've got your float just there, and then the pump itself is just there. That's simply held on, there's an electrical connector there with, you know, a tab. You just pick that off, press to squeeze that in, pull that off, and then underneath, if you look, you'll see there is a screw, Phillips screw just there, holds the base of the pump actually into the housing. And on the other side, you'll see this is where it pumps in, and that's the inlet as such. And inside there's like a little rubber O-ring. Okay, so that is it, that's the sender. I'll show you how to remove that from the car as well, but just to show you what it looks like out of the car. What you will also have on it, which I've already sort of taken off of this, is you'll have the sock at the bottom, or the filter if you like, which the strainer where the fuel goes into. So it will look something like that when you remove it out of the car. So if you're wondering if the fuel pump is dead, there's a good way of testing it outside of the car. So if you're cranking your car over and it's just not starting, and your car is sort of 35 years old, there is a real good chance that it's going to be your fuel pump that's gone, and they just die. There's no sort of warning that it's on its way out as such. It will just, it's either working or it's not, and it will just die. So to test it outside of the car, what you can do is simply get a 12-volt battery. You know, if you've got one laying around, you know, from another car, or, you know, if you've got access to a battery, and then all you need is 2 pieces of wire, and strip the ends off Basically all you're going to do is touch the wire onto the battery terminals, each wire, touch the other ends of the wire onto the pump itself, onto the prongs where the electrical clip goes into. And if the pump's alive, it's going to make a noise. You'll hear it, so you'll know it's working, and then your non-crank, non-starting car isn't down to your fuel pump being dead, because your fuel pump's fine. If when you touch the battery terminals and the pump doesn't make a noise and it's completely quiet, then you know you've got a dead fuel pump and it's going to need replacing. All right, so that's just a little tip of how to test it outside of the car. Okay, so I'm going to try and fit this new pump into the housing now. I'll show you how to do that, and then I'll also show you in the car itself. I had the spare housing here, so I've still got the original pump that's broken inside the tank at the minute, because I didn't want the smell sort of coming out and fumigating inside the car, so I left that in it. So I'll show you when I go outside how to remove the pump housing out of the car, which again is very simple, but I'll show you how to do it. All right, so let's get on to the next bit. Let's get this new pump fitted in the housing. Right, so I've got the pump as best I can on here to sort of show you how it's set up. So as I said before, there's the top of it with the electrical plug and your two hose attachments. Coming underneath, this is how you're going to disassemble it. So your electrical plug, just there, you're going to squeeze that in and release that, and just tuck that down out of the way. And then on the underside, like I said, you've got that Phillips screw there. Now this strainer, like I say, would also be on there like that. And at the point of undoing this screw, this would still be attached, okay? I'll show you that in a sec. So this screw, undo that. So I've loosened it already on this, so I'll just take that out to show you. When you remove the screw, the pump and the body, you pull it out like that. There's an O-ring inside there. Pull it out, and what you'll be left with is the pump with your base, which you then remove that, which has got like a rubber seating on it. Okay, and there's the actual base of the pump, and there's the top of it. Okay, so that's the pump actually removed. With the pump removed, obviously now we've got the new part that we're going to be fitting. So up inside there, you'll see if you can see it, there's an O-ring, rubber O-ring, and on the pump itself, on the top piece here, it's got a little plastic insert that just slides over the top there, and then when you push the pump in, that will hold it in place, and that goes inside the O-ring. Okay, so I'll get the new pump out of the box, and then we'll look at trying to reassemble this pump back together again. So here's the new pump out of the packet. It's just got a little protector on the top and one on the bottom, so you're just going to pop those off, get rid of them on both ends. And what was nice with this pump as well is it came with a nice new filter sock as well for the pump. So, you know, this may or may not fit. I'm going to give it a go. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. This is obviously a universal one. The original sock that comes off the pump is just there, so hopefully it will fit, because I'd rather use this nice new one than the old one that's there. So let's get this all assembled. Right, so the first thing on the pump to fit was the new strainer. So as you can see, it's got a very small little metal ring washer type thing there that grabs onto it, which probably can't see mine. I've got a spare one there. So that fits over the top, and then the best way of getting that on, you're not going to be able to do it with your fingers, is get a flathead screwdriver and push it down. Okay, so all you need to do, balance it on the top, get your flathead screwdriver, and then apply some pressure around the prongs and that will get it on there in the end. Okay, so put the strainer on first. Once the strainer's on, that's when we can go to fit in the next part to the base in preparation for fitting it to the body of the pump housing. All right, so we'll do that next. So the next job, you're going to take the base and you're going to fit that over the top onto the base of the pump, so it's like that, and then this is where your screw is going to screw into the base of the pump just there. All right, so I'm going to, it's a bit fiddly, so I'm just going to use both hands on that. Get it seated as best I can. And then we're going to have to try and put this in. So that's going to pop into the housing. Remember the little plastic piece that goes on top of the pump there. That's going to push into the housing there, if you can see that. I'll line up where your screw's going to go, and then it'll need to be pushed home into the body, like so. Then take your screw. Awkward to sort of show you at the minute. I'll get it in and then I'll come back and show you. Okay, so you can sort of see it as I'm doing it, screwing the base down. I'm just tightening that up to hold it all in place. Well, I would do if I had my screwdriver to hand, which I'm going to have to get now. So I'll just lightly tighten that up just so I can show you. So as you can see, pushed back in, electrical clip plug at the top, nice new strainer. There's the base, held in simply just by that one screw. Okay, so I'm going to tighten that up, plug the electrical connector back into the top. This pump's ready to be fit back in the car. And then pray that it works. Right, just another little thing to mention as well. When you take your old pump out, along the bottom down here, you'll have like a rubber band that's sort of just like an extra sort of hold or support for the pump itself that wraps around the little prong down here. Now obviously over 35 years that's just perished, and the minute I've gone to remove it, it's just snapped. So all I've done is just get a black cable tie, plastic cable tie, and I've just tied that around exactly the same way in which the rubber one was on there. I don't really see that that's going to cause any issues. It's just doing exactly the same job. All right, so that's that pump's pretty much done now. All I've got to do is plug the electrical connector back in. So with the wire, as you can see there, just feed it through the hole up to where your pump is. Let's move the float. Click that back in. That's now done. So there it is. That's the new pump all installed. Nice new sock as well, which is a lot better than that old crusty thing. So yeah, let's hope this pump works, and we'll soon find out when we get it in the car and try and start the car up. But this is all assembled and it's ready to go back in the car now. So time to get the old pump out, and I'll show you what it looks like, how to remove it. So stay with us, we'll do that now. Okay guys, we're in the car now. Bit of a tight squeeze given the roll bar and the seats, but hopefully you can see on the rear parcel shelf, this is where your fuel pump is located. Okay, so in your car, if it's not a track car, you're obviously going to have your parcel shelf carpet there. Take the parcel shelf carpet off, and then you're left with this cover. This is held on all the way around just by Phillips screws, so undo those, and then once you've done that, move it out of the way, and this is what you're left with. Okay, so you can see there, that's the sender that I've just rebuilt in the garage, ready to drop in, and then I'll have this one as a spare. So here's the hoses. So the way these would be connected, you've got this one and another one which is hiding under there. So they'd be attached onto there like so, and then your electrical plug plugs into the top. And then all around the top you've got tiny little Phillips head screws that hold the tank in position, and there's a rubber gasket on the underside that seals it all when you tighten it down. Okay, so disconnect those just with your pliers, pinch the clips, and then this is just literally ready to then lift out. Okay, so I'm going to lift that out now and put the new one in. There you go, that's the tank. See the petrol in there. Now I'm ready to jump and put this in. So let's get that fitted in. Simply gonna lift into place. So feed it through. And then feed it through along with all the gubbins. So that's the new housing put back in. Get your electrical connector, pop that back on. Make sure your hoses are connected, clamps done back up, and then refit the cover. And that just holds in Valling with Phillips head screws. So here's the moment of truth. Is it going to start? Yes, success. So once it's started up, check for any leaks. All looks good. Job done. So as you can see guys, that was good success. Car's back up and running again, which I'm pleased about. So here's the other pump that I took out. So I'll keep this just in my spares bin, ready for my green car, which no doubt will fail at some point. So I'll have a nice housing ready just to swap out the pump. So this is what it does look like fully assembled when you take it out. There's the sock that I was talking about, the float, there's the plug. So as you can see, it's exactly the same as the other one, other than a nice new pump. So now I know that pump's okay and it works. The part number again, should you need it, is there, which reads LFP049 in-tank fuel pump IM-P16. Like I say, 18 quid pump as opposed to 500. Car's running great on it. Why spend 500 quid? So I've got one spare now, ready for this. Hope you enjoyed that video guys. Only a quick one today. It's been a while since my last video, so you know, wanted to put something up for you. Hope it helps you out if your car's not starting up and you need to change your pump. Like I said, it's quite a simple job. When you do it, just obviously make sure your battery's disconnected. You know, do that the very first thing. Other than that, it's just really some screws, pulling it out, popping the new pump in, and you know, it's really a 20-minute job once you've done it before. So that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, appreciate it. If you want to see more Mazda content, then follow along on the channel, subscribe. See you on the next one.